Hey friends, I recently picked up Lomography's new film, Lomochrome 92, and
first things first,
the box is really nice. Great selection of little photos on here, nice retro typeface, beautiful little classy golden section. Honestly, really beautiful box. Now, it might seem weird to review a box, but when Kodak recently changed their gold from this to this, well, thanks Lomography for having a minimum of taste in design. If you want to just see me take some pictures, you can skip to the next chapter, and if you want my verdict on the film, you can skip all the way to the last chapter. However, if you want to hear me chat a little bit more and speculate on what this film is, stick around. So, what is this film? It's a brand new, apparently, color negative from Lomography, marketed as bringing back the nostalgic look of the 90s. I say apparently because there's a lot of film re-rolling going on at the moment. Obviously you've got Cinestill and vibez, who are very famously selling Kodak Vision 3, sometimes they wash it first, but there's a lot of other companies like Candido, Rito, Reflex Lab, various film labs around the world. They're all buying large amounts of Kodak Vision 3 and just cutting it up, selling it in 35mm canisters, putting their name on it, and calling it a new stock. Some go a little bit further, like Analog Wonderland are selling a currently 100 speed film as 400 speed film to get a more grainier, contrasty look, but it's still an existing stock that they're just selling with their name on it. Now, Lomography are no different in this regard. Their black and white and color negatives are well-known manufacturers. The black and white stuff, especially their cinematic low ISO stuff, is Orvo reproduction film, and their color film is probably produced by Kodak. However, what's different for Lomography is they clearly have the connections in the film world to create new stocks, like Turquoise, Metropolis, and Purple were all designed by Lomography and manufactured for Lomography. So, it's not unreasonable that they've designed this new nostalgic recipe and had it made for them. But there were a couple of things which grabbed my attention. One, it's limited edition, and two, it's handcrafted. Now, limited edition hints at it not being a freshly produced film, but actually something that they've found, some historic film, for example, some superior 1600, that they've then sold at 400 to account for the age of the film. There's also the recently discovered Fuji 125T, which is now being sold by vibez and a couple other labs around the world. Again, in very limited quantities, because this is a batch that has come out of the freezer, and once it's gone, it's gone. So are Lomography doing the same thing? I don't know. The other thing is the handcrafted note. That is very vague and could mean many things. It could be, like we've already mentioned, they get some old film, they roll it onto 35mm canisters for us, and they sell it. That's kind of handcrafted. It could mean that they've adapted it in some way, like washing it, a la Cinestill, that's kind of handcrafted too. Could be something much more drastic, like Double Film are doing. They've pre-exposed it with something to give it a little look, but it's actually an existing film stock. Or it could be hand-painted craft emulsion. But that one's highly unlikely. But, however, flipping back to the other side, they said they're offering it in different formats. Now, 110 you could cut 35mm down, but they're offering it in 120. Unless they've stumbled across hundreds of feet of 65mm film, it's very unlikely that this is an old stock, and they are in fact getting brand new 120 produced for them. Yeah, I think that's probably enough speculative ranting. Let's go out and actually shoot a roll and see what we think of it. See you outside. So all these sample shots of this film have a lot of the hallmarks of expired film. And I think I want to try from the next few shots to overexpose a bit to try and get more details in the shadows and reduce that kind of muddy green mush that might appear. So for now I'm going to go with half a stop over. Maybe later we'll do one stop over, but step by step. From now on, I'm going to shoot at one whole stop overexposed or rating the film at ISO 200. Let's see how it goes. So, in line with expectations, it is very grainy and has quite mushy green shadows, two hallmarks of expired film. Saying that though, the negatives are very clean. A little bit darker than you'd expect, but all of Lomography's creative color films have a kind of funky film base. Apart from that, it's a very clean negative, so it does look fresh. Anyway, actual review time. I do really like it. I'm quite a big fan, especially shot at 200. Yes, it is grainy, but it's got quite a pleasant, characteristic grain, which adds a little bit of flavor to the shots. My main shooting tip would be go to well-lit areas. The shadows fall apart very quickly, as we can see, but highlight detail retention is quite impressive. And in post, you can bring back quite a lot from the highlights. So I would say, bright sunny day, slightly overexposed, definitely the way to go with this film. Now, as for the colors, I've always been more of a fan of Fuji's crisper kind of sunlight, not the fluffy sunset on a beach kind of sunlight which Kodak gives, but more the waking up in the morning after the first snowfall and playing outside in the snow kind of sunlight, if that makes any sense. So when Lomography offered this new film, which is on the cooler end of the scale, I jumped straight on it and I'm really happy that I did. As for bringing back this nostalgic vibe, I think that's quite an interesting topic. You see, film has always been able to offer exceptional image quality. Just look at some of the recently released IMAX movies that were shot on Kodak film. But for most consumers, our idea is of crappy, underexposed photos taken on a disposable camera and have since faded on the prints that we got 30 years ago. So it's kind of this fake nostalgia that we've created in the present of how we think the past was, which this film is trying to convey. Is that too deep? Either way, I think it does it perfectly. Now, Lomography's whole brand is built off of lo-fi. It was born out of the strive to be less perfect, so it makes 100% sense that they offer this film, and I'm sure those looking for that film look are going to love it. This stock is currently €1 cheaper than Lomochrome Metropolis, and €3 cheaper than their Color Negative 400. So it's quite impressively priced within the current market, especially for a limited edition stock. Of course, there's going to be snobs which say, why would you shoot a fresh stock which looks expired? As is the world of art. Shooting expired film is a complete gamble, but the look can be a desired trait. So if you can shoot a fresh film which gives you that look, why not? At the end of the day, shoot whatever the fuck you want to shoot, however the fuck you want to shoot it, on whatever the fuck you want to shoot it on. This is all about having fun, and this stock is just another way to have fun. Goodbye.